Peace, neighbors. Yo, what's poppin' with the population, man? Yo, today we got a nice little project ahead of us. I'm going to be combining both of my compost and starting a new one. But this time we're gonna start a new one using a different material that I haven't used before. Now, before I get to that material, let me show you the two composts that I'm going to be merging together. All right, neighbors, so this right here is my younger compost. That bigger bin that you seen earlier, that's the older compost. That compost is about, I would say, anywhere from 75 to 90% broken down, so I could start using it right now. You could typically start using your compost when it's around 70% broken down. This one is actually pretty much broken down as well. I would say this is around 70% broken down, so this is why I want to kind of combine that with the bigger one and fill that up. My goal with the bigger one is to fill that big bin up damn near to the top before I start using it. I did come across new material for new compost that I'm going to be utilizing. That is the main reason why I do want to take this out of here, because the new material is more raw. It's basically a carbon source that needs to really be paired with nothing but nitrogen. And the main purpose of me even making my own compost was to stop wasting stuff that I could utilize for my plant, and not to be so reliant on these companies. A lot of times just be half-stepping the materials that they put into this compost, which is full of bullshit, or could be potentially full of bullshit. We come across so much compost on a day-to-day basis that we just waste. It's just insane. All our food scraps that we get rid of, whether we're juicing or whatever food waste we get rid of, we can compost all this stuff and reintroduce it back to our soil, back to our trees, and feed the microbes down in the soil, or repopulate the microbes in the soil, so that we can no longer have this problem where we feel like soil here in America is just not what it used to be. I don't really stand by, all of America's soil is trash now. I feel like more of the commercial soil, where they commercially grow and use all these pesticides and all this tilling and stuff, is dead, and it's not nutrient dense. But I feel like the everyday person like me and you, our backyards are not that depleted. It's much more easier for us to regenerate our soil as opposed to the big corporate farms that are 100, 200, 300 acres of land, when we're just sitting on under an acre of land or 2 acres of land, or even 3, 4, 5 acres of land. That's not a lot of land to revitalize and regenerate the soil. This is another reason why, we should all be composting, so that we can revitalize and regenerate the soil, neighbors, so that we can grow nutrient-dense foods in our backyards and stop relying on corporate. We should never be relying on corporate farmers or just one source for our food, because that's when we become ultra dependent on that source. And there's something about being dependent on a system about the food source that doesn't sit right with me. If somebody can control food, they definitely could control the people, because they could put all types of bullshit in it or slap a organic tag on it. The whole time they're using all types of harmful ass chemicals. So the carbon source that I'm going to be using today is a bunch of wood chips. We finally had a mango tree stump removed a few weeks ago. This is all the remains of a mango tree stump. Not too long ago, I say about 3-4 years ago, me and my pops had cut down this big gigantic mango tree that we had, that we was not utilizing, that we wasn't really eating the mangoes on there, because it was one of those fibrous mangoes. We just had this tree stump sitting here for years, and we finally got it removed. Instead of just throwing out the remains of this tree stump, why not start another compost with it? Part of me does want to put it in this metal trash can to start it off, or to house it, but a part of me does want to put it on this tarp so that I can make it more so like a hot compost type of thing. It just depends how it all fits inside this metal trash bin.
9 till 10.
Now I gotta change the percentage of what this compost is. I would say now it's about 50% broken down. As you guys can see, there's a ton of unbroken down leaves. This is the importance of making sure you're flipping your compost top to bottom every few weeks. And if you want it to break down even faster, you want to try to do it on a weekly basis. Just get it over with. Mainly just want to make sure that bottom isn't sitting wet like that. The moisture doesn't leave that area. That's typically why I need to flip that area so that you can get that moisture to evenly spread out throughout the compost, because the microbes and the worms aren't going to be where it's wet at. They're going to be where it's moist at. When it's wet, that could lead to anaerobic conditions and it could suffocate the worms and stuff of that nature. When they enter into the compost bin, they go past all that and work their way up to where it's a little bit more moist at and not wet. I'm still going to incorporate this into the bigger compost. I'm just going to take some of these leaves and I'm going to put them into this new compost that I'm breaking down. Now it's time to dig up or take out this compost out the big compost bin. As you guys can see here, I actually just put some raw material in it not too long ago, but typically when you're just putting in food scraps, that's gonna be eaten up in no time, because the microbes are gonna go crazy on those raw materials. When it comes to your leaf mold and stuff like that, that takes a little bit longer to break down, as you guys can see, especially if you're not flipping it often. As you guys can see, the microbes and the worms tore up all that cardboard, so I'm gonna put some new cardboard on there. So one, it can add more material to the compost, and so that this pallet has a bunch of holes in it, so it would just basically keep it from just falling through the holes. Now this compost is more than ready to be used in my potted mixes or wherever else I want to use it for. So all I'm gonna do is put it back in this bin. The raw material that came from the younger compost, I'm gonna make sure that sits closer to the top so that it could break down even further. And then the newer compost, or the soon-to-be compost, I'm gonna mix that thoroughly. The carbon with the nitrogen, or the brown with the green. I'm gonna make sure that's well incorporated with each other. I'm gonna water it down, and if it doesn't fit in the trash can, I'm going to leave it on the tarp nice and covered so that it can heat up in there and that it could break down even faster. There's a few ways that you could go about breaking it down fast. You could either make a hot compost, covering it with the tarp, just letting it sit in there and warm up and heat up, or you can add some lactose bacillus bacteria in there, and that will help break it down even further. But nonetheless, the more worms, microbes, mycelium that you see in your compost, faster it will break down. So you want to make sure you're upping the micro activity in your compost. Now, what was once 3 to 6 month time frame for you to use it could be 30 days, 40 days, which will come in no time. You feel me? Come clean, neighbors. I'm cooked right now, you feel me? I'm ready to kick off my shoes and relax my feet and just kick it, you heard? Because I'm done, you feel me? I feel like I did a full body workout just now. That's the thing about gardening that they don't tell you. Like, gardening and just growing your own is one of the few things where you get every aspect of life. You get that mental clarity, you get that perspective, you get the spiritual growth, the physical growth, you know, because you always lifting something, or you know what I'm saying, moving something, picking up, you know what I'm saying? So don't ever let them tell you you can't garden and it's not manly or any of that bullshit, because I'm telling you, it's for everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody should be doing this. The compost that I put in this tarp is gonna be my hot compost. That's where I'm going to potentially have it break down within that 30-day time frame. The rest of the compost I did with my traditional way, which was put it in the metal trash can. I'm actually gonna take that compost out of there and just bag it up so I could use it. And once this breaks down even further, I'm gonna put that in there and then keep filling that up. That's how we gonna have compost forever. That's how we never gonna run out of compost. All I gotta do with that compost now is just find something to cover it, which I'm probably gonna use like a trash bag until I go to like Home Depot. I'm gonna get me a canvas tarp or something like that and put it over like I had it before, since I'm utilizing this one. And probably the next few weeks, that's what I'll do, is probably move that into like some type of bag or garbage bag or storage, so that, you know, everybody can use it. I would say it's like 90 to 95% broken down, and you could really start using your compost when it's about 70% broken down. If you see those small things that haven't broken down yet, but the majority of it is broken down, you don't really have to worry about that. That's just gonna add extra nutrients to whatever you're gonna add it to, maybe. So finished it. Of course, I'm gonna update you guys on how this compost is doing. Try to keep tabs on it and see how hot it gets, because you know we're coming up on spring or the true new year, so it's gonna be nice and hot out here, and the sun is gonna be beaming on it. It's gonna keep it hot, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna have it nice and moist in there. And compost is in this metal trash can. I'm just gonna keep making sure I keep it moist by watering it probably once or twice a week, and just keep it pushing. Let's get outside, let's get to growing and composting so our health can get to glowing. Y'all already know, do your neighborhood due diligence. Give this episode a like. Make sure to comment neighborhood in the comments below. Make sure to hit that link in the description and check out what your favorite neighbor has to offer. We got a plethora of fruit bearing trees that we grow from seed, that we graft, a growing collection of seed, and we got seasonal herbs to help you along your healing journey or to start your food forest today. You already know the neighborhood mainstay motto, which is grow your own / support true righteous local growers like myself, or continue to rely on a broken system to supply you your own. We all know what their own comes with. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to tell a neighbor to tell a neighbor to tell a neighbor. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue to grow one neighbor at a time. Peace, love, light, much healing to you and yours. It's your favorite neighbor. See you on the next one. Get it?